Peter Obi don't scatter everywhere again. Rufa is on fire. Rufa is on fire. Ew. Obedient, they could not calm down. As far say the president select is in France now chilling with the white people. Why the man would they say no win? See they win the love of the people. Anyway, Rufa, thank you. Say you always they stand for the truth. Anyway, Obedient, listen carefully.
Also the presidential candidate of the Labour Party has said the leaked conversation with the founder and the general overseer of Living Faith Church, J.K. Winners Chapel, was doctored and completely taken out of context and distorted in a desperate attempt to rope him and have him prosecuted. Media aide to Peter Obi, Valentine Obiem, says that there has been a plot to search and review all Obi's calls in the last 3 years with a view to seeing if he mentioned interim government or anything that will make All Progressive Congress prosecute him for treason. And if they take over. According to him, the badly distorted leaked conversation with Bishop Oyedepo is the latest antics in effort to nail his principle. In the audio that has since gone viral on social media, Obi was heard appealing to Oyedepo to help mobilize Christian voters ahead of the election, especially those in the north-central states of Kwara, Kogi, and Niger, declaring that the election was a religious war. Meanwhile, the Obidati Presidential Campaign Council has also dismissed the leaked audio, describing it as deep fake audio file aimed at promoting religious tension in the country. In a statement jointly issued by head Obidati Media, Dironi Fade, and the chief spokesperson of the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council, Yunus Atanko, it's alleged that the APC was behind the leaked audio. So there are a couple of stories that Dr. Mate, I'm sure you want to jump on.
Video of the Living Faith, church, the Winners Chapel. Well, you can't blame the Labour Party for saying that, look, it looks like there is an attempt to monitor all the conversations held on Mr. Peter Obi's phone in the last 1 year as an attempt to set him up for one reason or the other. And specifically in one of the statements that was issued, the National Communications Commission was mentioned in this regard. I think that the NCC, in order to lower tension in the country, we need to come out and say that, look, this is not true. It's also important to note that this will generate fear within the community, with people thinking their phone conversations are no longer safe. Because if you look at the content there, the allegation is that Mr. Peter Obi was using religion, was mobilizing on the basis of religion. Well, isn't it the case that almost every candidate tried to use whatever they have to their own advantage? After all, in the All Progressives Congress, the issue was about Muslim ticket and the fact that the party was running and appealing to the Muslim community. Okay, even if Mr. Peter Obi appealed to his own Christian community, why is that an offense? As long as no law has been violated in that regard. But what is even more important is that Bishop Oyedepo has come forward, has issued a statement to say that he was not involved in any partisan politics, and that he had no affiliation with any political party. But as a man of the cloth, as a religious leader, it was within his province, within his responsibility to pray for anybody that approaches him. And in that audio, if you listen to it very well, he kept saying, in the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus. So I don't see how that is a problem, because even if it was a Muslim that had come to him, he would still give him hope, which is in line with Christian eschatology. He would still encourage the person. So that the election's over. I think we should just focus on the judicial process and not hit up the polity in any way. All of that, back and forth between APC spokespersons, Labour Party spokespersons. Look, these spokespersons should find something else to do. The campaign is over. Earlier on we were talking about inauguration, new government, and the cases in court. So if people still have some energy amongst them to cause conflict, no. We do not want conflict in Nigeria. Elections should not be war. Everybody should know when to cut it off. And Mr. Peter Obi himself has said, look, is seeking what he calls the mandate, he will go through legal and constitutional process. And that's what is important, in my view.
Right, a couple of things. And like you said, rightly, a reaction to the message, because this went viral over the weekend. There were many reactions. The APC was, fighting and saying, yes, this is it, pushing the religious agenda and all of that. The Labour Party reacted to it. There's been, I think, 3 reactions. The first reaction was from Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo, that said that was taken out of context. The second reaction was from Adebo Onifade, the Onifade that talked about the fact that, yes, this was, put together and all of that, doctor to suit a narrative. Then this reaction we have. So there's been different reactions as regards this. But a couple of questions we should ask. Number 1. People's conversations being monitored, being taken, being put out there. There are laws of the land, and as enshrined in the Constitution. Dr. Batiyah, the lawyer, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Section 37 of the Nigerian Constitution talks about right to privacy, if my memory serves me right. And the fact that people have a right to be able to make their private conversations. So people taking those conversations, what does the Nigerian Communication Commission know about all of this? How did the access go to be able to take these conversations? Let's ask those questions. Also, the tape itself. We need to be able to subject it to empirical forensics, forensic that is holistic, that talks about, voice distortion, that talks about also possibilities of deep fakes and things like that. Although some media group has taken it through that and they saw that there were not too much deep fakes in it. But were the conversations distorted? What was the extent to which it was doctored? What was the bare raw file analysis of the conversation? These are questions we should ask. Leading up to the last election, there was a big talk about religion that was occasioned by the Muslim ticket of the APC. And since then, there was a lot of back and forth. Yes, it is not right for leaders to pitch along religious things, because yes, every politician uses the sentiment of religion and ethnic bias. But the truth is, it doesn't make it right. For us to be able to build a country, we need to build a country of holistic competence and speak more about what our leaders can do for us and the capacity they have to be able to execute the things they have written in their manifesto. Because when you look, all of us that bicker about religion and bias and ethnic bias in politics, we forget that poverty does not know tribe. Poverty does not select and say, oh, you are an Hausa man, because you're an Hausa man, I will not come your way. You are a Yoruba man, because you're a Yoruba man, or you're a Christian or Muslim, I will not come your way. Poverty is as a result of bad leadership. Darren Osamoglu wrote in his book, Why Nations Fail. He said nations fail because their leaders make them fail, pure and simple. The failure of Nigeria is a reflection of leadership. What is poverty? Lack. What causes lack? Unequitable distribution of resource. The clear analogy is some have food they cannot eat. Some can eat but have no food. Some can eat but they have no food. But some have food. And that's the clear problem of poverty. So those are the things that bind all of us. Nigeria has become a country where the vast population is united in poverty. The bigger conversation, rather than the ethnic and the religious bickering, is the conversation about how we can remove poverty from our lives. Because it's actually empirically proven you can bring people out of poverty when you do the right things as regards governance. So I think that's the bulk of the conversation. And going forward, we would like to talk to political surrogates and spokespersons. It is not time to overheat the polity. Because in all of this, we've also had very, very tough incendiary statements here and there, and all sorts of political spin going on. And the political spin will involve deepfakes. So when people started talking about deepfakes, I wasn't surprised, because I remember on this same table, on What's Trending, I told Oji that deepfakes will herald our political process. I was proven right. They will use all sorts of means to get an advantage. But the question is, does it take away the pain and suffering of what is happening to Nigerians? So those are the things we should look. We are all united one way or the other in poverty. We are all united in the effect of inflation, both rich and poor. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll have Michael Wilson and